So, the last time that I did a video on actor warm-ups, we were focusing on the physical warm-ups, the actual waking up of the body, getting it stretched out and getting it prepared to go on stage, starting from the top and working our way down. What we are going to focus on here today is the other very, very important warm-ups that I believe every actor should do before stepping on a stage, and of course that is the vocal warm-ups. One of the things that I notice working with young actors for as long as I have is that one of the problems a lot of them start out with is projection, i.e. getting that voice from their body out to the audience, and not just to the audience, but all the way to the back of the house. Sometimes you're working in very large theaters, and not all of them are acoustically sound. So you really have to work to get that voice out of your body and out to them. I also find, and I've mentioned this before, that there's kind of a weird disconnect between what's going on stage and what the audience actually perceives. You may think, being up on the stage, that you're talking loud enough or that you can be heard because the actor standing right next to you can hear you. And that's great for them, but it doesn't mean that person in the front row can hear you. It doesn't mean that person in the fifth row can hear you. It doesn't mean that person at the back of the house can hear you. And you can't always rely on stage mics. Sometimes you've got to do it yourself. So what we are going to be working with here today are some basic warm-ups that come from kind of, if you'll pardon the expression, the voice in actor training, and that's Kristin Linklater. The Linklater method, the technique, it's very involved and there's a lot of steps to it. We're going to kind of condense it down to its core elements. These are the vocal warm-ups that I do before going out on stage, and these are the ones that I try to get my actors to do before any performance. One, it helps warm up the voice. The voice, think of it as any other muscle. You know, and just like we talked about with the actor warm-ups, if you're an athlete, you would not go out onto the field or whatever without doing some kind of warm-up. You know, you wouldn't do that because of potential injury. Things would cramp up, things would get hurt. It's the same thing with the voice. If you don't warm that voice up, and you're going out there and think you're just going to shout through your entire performance, you're going to damage your voice, and you're going to damage it very quickly. And a damaged voice, once it's gone, it's gone. Okay, this is why opera singers take such careful steps in preserving their voice. This is why they perform vocal warm-ups. This is why people in musicals do warm-ups, and it's why actors need to do vocal warm-ups. The other thing that this exercise does is it gets you to start connecting the voice to the breath. So let's back up a little bit here. Where does the power of your voice come from? Okay? Now, some people would say the throat. No, that's where the origin of the voice is. The vocal cords vibrating is where your voice originates, but it's not where the power comes from. The power comes from your diaphragm, comes from this muscle down here. What the Linklater technique does, quite simply, is it trains the actor to connect the origin of the voice, the vocal cords, to the breath stored in the diaphragm, and to push that power out with the breath. So when you're projecting, what you're doing is just pushing the air out of your body. Okay? We're going to demonstrate as we kind of go through this. So what we're going to start with is basic breathing techniques. I know that that sounds really bizarre, that we are now going to learn how to breathe properly. Breathing is something that we don't think about. It's an involuntary reflex. You don't think about how your heart beats, and you don't think about how you breathe. But when starting the process of connecting the voice to the breath, that's exactly where you have to start. How do we breathe? So any good vocal warm-up starts with controlling the breath. So what you want to do is you want to attain your neutral stance. Now, we talked about this in the body warm-ups. So what you want to do, and I don't have the full frame here, so you can't really see my lower body, but I'm standing with my feet shoulder-width apart. So if I point at my shoulders and run them down my body, they go right to my legs. I'm not straddling out like this. They're right at shoulder width. My knees are nice and loose. Do not lock your knees during this. Keep your knees loose. If you need to bounce every so often to keep them loose, to make sure that they're not locking up, do that. But do not lock your knees, and we'll talk more about why here in a moment. Okay? So you want to stand, your feet shoulder width apart. You want to make sure your arms are hanging nice and loose out your side. This is why we normally do the vocal warm-ups after the physical warm-ups. Because once you've kind of warmed everything up, you can feel yourself a lot looser and not holding as much tension in your body, which is good. You want to try to eliminate the tension. What we're trying to do as we start this is we want to create a nice clear path for the air to travel. Okay? So we're going to stand with our feet shoulder width apart, knees bent, arms nice and loose at our side. We're standing nice and tall. We're not stretching, but we're just standing nice and tall, our head in alignment, like there's a string coming out of the top of our head, getting to the ceiling. Again, we're creating a nice clear path for the air. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, letting the diaphragm fill up, letting it expand, and then we're going to release it out through the mouth. So we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Okay? So, if you watch. Now, a couple things to take notice of. Notice that when I take my deep breath in, I'm not doing this, my shoulders filling my lungs up. I see a lot of people when they start this exercise thinking, trying to be funny, take a deep breath in. You're not helping yourself doing that, okay? Because you're not filling up the lungs, you're filling up the diaphragm. Now, this is where having a little bit more of an ample frame, let's say, is going to benefit me, because I can actually demonstrate a little bit better. Let me turn to the side here and show you a little bit better of what I'm talking about. Hopefully you can see. Now watch, I'm going to put my hands here on my belly. Now watch, as I breathe in, my diaphragm is going to expand. My hands are going to move out. My shoulders aren't going to move hardly at all. There's going to be a little bit of movement because everything's connected, but my shoulders are not going to do this huge, go back movement. So all right, I'm here. I'll take my breath in. You can see that my belly has expanded, my diaphragm has expanded, and now I'm going to push it out. And you can see how it contracts when it goes out. Also notice, let me step up a little closer to the camera here so you can kind of see my face a little bit better as I do this. So I'm going to do this. There's my breath in, now let it out. Notice that my jaw is hanging nice and loose. I'm not, I'm letting it hang naturally, but I'm opening my mouth. Okay? Again, creating a pathway for the air to escape. One of the things I find happens a lot, and I find this with singers and actors, is when they start out, they're keeping their lips very close together. How is the air, and by extension, how is the voice supposed to get out of your body into the people in the back row if your lips are so close together? You gotta open them up. Again, this is why we usually do vocal warm-ups after physical warm-ups, because you've warmed up that jaw, you can get it to hang nice and loose. So keep that in mind as you're doing these. You're taking that breath in, and when you let it out, the jaw is hanging nice and loose. You're creating a nice, clear path for that air. Okay? So let's try that again. So I'm going to put my hands on my diaphragm here. You'll also notice that when I'm doing these, as I go through these warm-ups, I close my eyes as I do it. And I do this for two reasons. Number one, it's because I am trying to internalize everything I'm doing. I'm trying to pay very close attention to what my body is doing. When you're doing the physical warm-ups, you're working on the exterior, you're stretching things out. You're doing the vocal, it's all about the interior. So when I close my eyes, I'm focusing on the breath. I'm focusing on my stomach expanding. The other reason is because This helps me, again, block out kind of outside stimuli and focus on what I have to do. That's why these are warm-ups. They're physical and mental. Okay? So I find closing the eyes and focusing in on the body, blocking out everything else, to be very, very helpful when you're going about this. Okay? So, I'm going to stand. My hands on my diaphragm. My eyes are closed. I mean, that's a personal preference. Jaw loose. Take a nice deep breath in. And push it out. Again. One more time. Now, if you're doing this, you're going to find, like I just did, that as, I did that 3 times. And each time, I was able to breathe in a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. Again, it's just like working out. You start with a barbell, and you can only do a few things, a few reps the first time. But you keep doing it, and then you're going to get stronger and stronger, and you can do more reps. Same thing here. You do it, you breathe in a little bit, it goes just so far. You're taking that second breath, it goes a little farther. Taking that third breath, it goes a little farther. Okay? So that's why we tend to do things in a couple steps. 3 is optimal. You can go further if you have that kind of time and you want to do that. I want to kind of move ahead. Let's go to the next step. So we've kind of got our breathing under control. We're breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're filling up the diaphragm. We're not, stretching our shoulders back. You take deep breaths. So now we're going to add sound to the mix, okay? Now what we're going to do this time is as I take that breath in and I push it out through my mouth, I'm going to add a sound, just a tiny sound, just a little huh, okay? Just like if you're taking a huh, 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 huh. Just like if you're laughing, all right? Now it's not a sharp huh, it's not like that. It's a very soft, the palate is very soft, my jaw is really relaxed, so huh, okay? So again, let me step a little closer. I'm trying to keep my belly and my face in the shot so you can see how both things are reacting. So I'm going to take a deep breath in and out without a sound, and then I'm going to do one with sound. All right? That's just kind of as a palate cleanser. So here we go. Going to add sound this time. Well, that was really weak. You can tell I haven't done this in a while. Hear that? It's very, very raspy. I'm going to try that again. Let's do that again. There we go. That's much better. What you also may notice, let me step closer and really let you see my meaty face here as I do this. Watch what happens to my face as I do this. See how my lips and everything puff out as the huh is coming out? That's good. That means my face is nice and relaxed. I'm not holding any tension. There's nothing restricting that sound from escaping from my lips. Okay? And that's all it is. It's a huh. Very, very clear. It's a very clear sound. So now what happens is now we're going to add a second huh. Kind of like you're laughing at a huh, huh. Now it's very distinct. It's not a huh. You're not running it together. Just like when you're reciting lines on stage, you want to make sure each one of those words is clear and distinct. You don't want them to run together and become kind of a jumble and a hodgepodge. You want a nice, clear, distinct line reading. So when I do this the second time and I add the second huh, I want to make sure it's a very clear huh, that it follows directly. It's not a huh, huh. Okay, there's no space in between, but each sound is distinct. All right, so let's try this again. So I'm going to breathe in once, just as a palate cleanser. I'm going to huh once, and I'm going to huh twice. Okay, ready? So nice and loose, hand on the diaphragm. Here we go. Breathe in. Touch tone once. Okay, good. Now we're going to touch tone twice. There we go. I should have mentioned, and sorry for not putting the terminology right there at the front. These little hus, those are called touch tones, because that's all you're doing. You're just touching the sound. All right? So, once again, you hear how that sounded. Each huh, very distinct. Coming one right after the other, so it's not a huh, huh. So I'm not taking a huh, huh, 2 breaths and pushing it out. It's 1 solid breath. Okay? So now what we're going to do is now I'm going to touch tone twice and take it into a hum. And I'm going to hum. Now, again, not with my lips closed and my mouth open so the voice can escape. But I'm going to touch tone, I'm going to hum until I feel my body running out of air. And then I'm going to end the hum with a very strong ma. Okay, let me demonstrate, and then I'll explain. So, just checking my time here. All right, that's why I keep looking off to the side. All right, here we go. So I'm going to go in, and let it out. Going to touch tone once. Good. Going to touch tone twice. Good. Now touch tone twice, take it into a hum, and then end with a strong ma. Here we go. Ma. All right. Now, a couple things about the hum. You're going to hum until your body runs out of breath. It's important, again, this is why I close my eyes and I try to stay focused on what's going on in here, that you end the hum before you are gasping for breath. Just like when you're on stage and you're delivering your lines, you want to make sure that you stop, you hit that period before you run out of air in your body. If you've ever heard somebody on stage, and I've had it happen, I've seen people do this, especially with Shakespeare, because people aren't sure where the punctuation is. I've seen people try to do soliloquies in one breath, and what happens is very much, I'll do a demonstration here. I'm just going to, to be or not to be, that is the question, whether it's nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortunes, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them to sleep, to chance, to dream, to see what's happening, because I don't have any breath in my body. All right? So when you're taking these breaths in and you're pushing the hums out, you want to end before you're in that point where you're stretching for air. You want to end well before that. So when I'm closing my eyes and I'm pushing that air out and I'm doing that hum, I'm paying very close attention to, okay, I can feel that I'm about to run out of air. I need to end this. Also notice that the ma at the end, I'm ending strong. I'm making sure I'm enunciating it, ma. All right? Just like I would a piece of dialogue on stage. One of the things I always tell my actors is that if you're going to start a line strong, you need to end it stronger. One thing I see a lot with actors is they start out really strong and they're going, and then they end their line like this and they go quiet. And then they want to start the line back up again and they go like this and then they start quiet. You're going up and down, and you're taking the audience on this roller coaster, and it's not a good one. Okay, if you're going to start the line strong, you need to end stronger. All right? So that when the next line comes up, you have something to build off of. Same thing here. This is what we're getting in the practice of. You start strong with the ha-ha, and you end strong with the ma. Really, really enunciated. Okay? So, the other thing you got to understand, especially if you're doing this in a group of people, sometimes actors like to warm up as a group, as a cast, and sometimes they like to warm up individually. If you're in a group of people, the thing you have to understand is that it's not a race. All right? Some people can get further with their breath than others. Some people who are singers, or some people just have that kind of breath control. It's not a race. Okay? It's not a competition. If you're pushing this out, if you're pushing that hum out and going, ha ha, and because the person next to you is still going and you're trying to beat them, you're missing the point. This is not about them. It's about you. Okay? You need to know what your body can do. You need to know how far it can be pushed. Now, as you keep doing these warm-ups, as you keep performing, as you keep singing or acting, the voice will get stronger, and you'll be able to go longer and longer and longer. Again, just like working out any other muscle. But it's very important when you're starting out, if this is the first time you've ever done these, don't push it past the point of endurance. Feel it. Get in connection with the breath, know when it's coming, and then end strong. Okay, so we've done the touch tone once, we've done the touch tone twice, we have taken it into a hum and ended with a ma. So now what we would do is take it one step up in our vocal register. Okay, so you're going to go just a little higher than your normal speaking voice. What we just did is kind of at a neutral. This is my normal speaking voice. What I'm now going to do is I want to take it up one step in my vocal register and just make it a little higher. Let me demonstrate again. Now I'm going to start with the breath, touch tone once, touch tone twice, into a hum, and then I'm going to do it again, and this time I'm going to take it one step up. So watch and observe. So hands, I'm going to do them on my diaphragm so you can see. Shoulders are loose. Take my breath in from my palate cleanser. Going to touch tone once. Okay. Touch tone twice. Into a hum, normal register. I didn't like that, haha. I did not enunciate that well. But that's my normal register. Now I'm going to take it one step up in my vocal register. Boy, you can hear my voice cracking as I did that. You can tell I haven't done this in a little while because it's not as fluid. Now I'm going to take it one step further. So here we go. And you can see I'm running out of breath a little earlier. Again, I haven't done this in a little while, and you can tell. I'm going to take it one more step. Here we go. All right, so I've taken it 3 steps in my vocal register, and let's be clear about this. First of all, you want to do 3. That's the optimal number. Going 4 and 5 and 6, that's overkill, and it's going to stretch your vocal cords, and it's going to hurt you. 3 is kind of where you need to be. Okay? Another thing, and again, just like any exercise, you don't want to push your voice past the point of endurance. So if you feel like you get to that second vocal register and you just can't go higher without scraping your vocal cords, then don't. Just do that 3rd step on that 2nd register. Okay? As you work out, as you do these, and as you continue to warm up the voice, it's going to get stronger. And you're going to be able to go higher and higher and higher. The other thing you want to make sure you're doing is use that step ladder. 1, 2, 3. You don't want to go from your normal to really high, because again, you're stretching the voice out. Again, always going back to the exercise metaphor, you don't want to go from, doing 5 pounds to 50. You're going to rip everything. All right? Same deal. It's very important that you take those steps. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And again, don't push past endurance. All right, so we've gone up 3 steps in our vocal register. Now what we're going to do is we're going to blow out through the lips. This keeps the lips nice and loose. It also makes a fun sound. If you want, you can try taking that up in the vocal register, make it sound like a Jetsons car. Again, I just like doing that. It loosens the lips up and it tickles your nose a little bit. So now we've gone up 3 steps in the vocal register. What we're going to do now is go down 3 steps in the vocal register. All right. So I'm going to start from the top. Breath, touch tone once, touch tone twice, into a hum, normal register, and then take it down. Go deeper. Okay. So here we go. Nice and loose. I'm not going to put my hands on my diaphragm this time. I want my arms to hang loose. So here we go. I'm going to take my breath in. All right. Oh, I messed up. I jumped right to the breath. Let's try that again. Palate cleanser. There we go. Touch tone once. There we go. Touch tone twice. Good. Normal register hum. Okay, now I'm going to get down 1 step in my vocal register. I'm also going to see if I can get those ha-has to be a little bit more distinct. You hear my voice cracking. Take it down one more step in the vocal register. And one more. Always good to blow out through the lips when you're with that. All right. So I go up 3 and down 3. One thing, this is maybe too much information. As I said, I have not done this in a while, and you can tell. You can see how my voice is cracking as I'm doing it. That's okay. It just means I need to warm up more. I need to prepare my voice. Also, good palate cleansers, water. My voice is getting clogged up with gunk down there because I haven't scraped the pipes in a little while. This is a little extra tip. If you're in a show or something, water. I know some people are addicted to coffee. When I was in school, it was soda. But when you're doing a show, all that does is gum up the works, folks. Water is what you need. Everything else, keep it away. I'd say for 2 hours or so before a show, don't be drinking anything but water. Keep the pipes clear, okay? Okay, a couple things to talk about before we wrap up. So you've gone up 3 steps and down 3 steps. As you're doing all this, what you want to make sure you do is keep the air in the diaphragm. Not in the lungs, not in the throat. You could hear a couple times as I was going, my voice was cracking because I was pushing too much on the throat and on the vocal cords and not on the breath. How can you make sure that that's happening? There's a couple ways, basically, it's all just, jiggling a little bit and making that diaphragm bounce. So let me give you an example. So I take my deep breath in. Just going to go into a normal. You hear how my voice is going? That's because it's coming from here, and as I'm bouncing and my belly is jiggling, it's chopping the voice up. If it was coming from my vocal cords, and I'm not going to demonstrate that for you because it will hurt. If it was coming from my vocal cords, it'd be scraping and it wouldn't be anywhere near as jiggly. Now, another thing you can do if you're a ample gentleman, again, such as myself, this is one my friends and I would do in college, you can jiggle the belly and see if that doesn't. So, you can do this one even if you don't have an ample belly like me. If you're shaking that diaphragm, it's going to make the vocal cords, not the vocal cords, it's going to make the air choppy, and it's going to make the touch tone come out in that, like you're driving over gravel. All right? So, this is the basic Linklater warm-up. Connecting the voice to the breath, getting it out in that touch tone, then taking it 3 steps up, back to neutral, 3 steps down, back to neutral. All right. There are some other things that the Linklater technique does, such as dropping down and coming up and having the voice go up and down as you do. There are some enunciation exercises, and we may do a video on that a little later on. But what I wanted to show you here is just the very, very core, the basics of an actor's vocal warm-up. So thank you very much, and I hope this was helpful.